UFC has announced major fights this week. To kick it off, we got Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush set for UFC 288 on May 6th. Oliveira is coming off a second-round submission loss to Islam. Beneil is coming off a unanimous decision win over Mateusz Gamrot. Curtis Blaydes versus Sergey Pavlovich is close to being finalized for UFC Fight Night on April 22nd. Curtis is coming off a first-round TKO over Tom Aspinall. Sergey Pavlovich is coming off a first-round KO win over Tai Tuivasa. And Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill has been added to UFC Fight Night on May 13th. Dern is coming off a majority decision loss to Yan Xiaonan. Angela Hill is coming off a unanimous decision win over Emily Ducati. Anthony Smith had some harsh words for Greg Hardy following his knockout loss to Josh Watson at BKFC this past weekend.
I think it's like kind of one of those the ball never lies kind of situation. Like, I think Greg can come and go into boxing, out of boxing, into bare knuckle, out of bare knuckle, into MMA, out of MMA. I think that like the athlete god, they're just always gonna on him. He's done his time, I think. I mean, he had his, he had his repercussions, that losing his NFL career and all that stuff. But if he did what they say he did, I think he's just over a long period of time getting what he deserves. And I've never liked his attitude, never liked his personality. He just, if you're that kind of a guy coming into this sport with that kind of a reputation, I really a firm believer you better bow your head, you better say yes sir, no sir, be respectful to the people that came before you, and keep your mouth shut.
Don't bring your inhaler into the octagon.
Yeah, and just don't do stupid shit like that. You know what I mean? Like using an inhaler in the middle of a fight. He's always has this attitude. It's just real annoying. I can't stand him. I think he's getting what he deserves, but I'm no one to judge. So it is what it is. That's my opinion.
Javier Mendez trolls Cain Velasquez while he walks into the gym.
Hey, what's up? Are you in the wrong place?
No, what are you looking at your phone for?
What are you here? Because I want to say, who are you?
What do you mean?
Yeah, you just can't walk past me without saying anything. Who are you? What are you doing here? I don't recognize you. You're home?
What are you doing?
You look familiar, but you're kind of bald. I'm the guy I remember that looked like you had a little bit of hair. You're a baldy guy.
You're the stranger now.
I'm the stranger?
Who are you?
Don't touch me.
Dustin Poirier called out Islam Makhachev today. Islam tweeted, "Who is next?" Dustin replied saying, "What's up? Would you guys want to see Islam defend his belt against Dustin next? Who do you think would win? Post your opinions in the comments." Jon Anik and Kenny Florian discuss how a rematch would play out between Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev, and whether or not Islam would wrestle more if they ran it back.
If you switch stances 75, 80, 90 times in a fight, I don't know. I just think that he will start faster in a rematch, and obviously I would be fascinated to see it. I think there are a lot of people out there that think the pendulum would swing to Volkanovski in a rematch. I wonder if you think Makhachev would wrestle more or less in a rematch. And you and I are aligned that we thought Islam Makhachev won what was a very close fight here, but sometimes I like to ask guys in the fighter meeting, and I didn't get to it this time, if this was just a kickboxing match, right? We can talk all we want about your grappling and your wrestling and how nuanced it is and everything else, the trips, whatever. Yeah. But what if you just had to beat Alexander Volkanovski in a kickboxing match? I bet Islam would say, I think I can beat him, right? I'm the bigger man, I'm the more powerful man, right? Like, do you think Islam would wrestle more or less if they were to fight again?
That is a good question. I certainly think he proved that he's got the advantage there. Volkanovski did a great job, great account of himself, but Islam is going to have that edge. He really knows what he's doing in that clinch. He really knows what he's doing when he gets a hold of your legs. And yeah, it's very possible. I do think that he needed to use his striking more to set up his takedowns as opposed to just using his striking to just counter. Having those shots I think was better. He was taking advantage of Volkanovski with reactive takedowns. He would have Volkanovski, who got a little impatient there in round 2 when he came forward. He would change levels and then shoot in on him. So Yeah, I think there's stuff that he could do to be a little bit more proactive, setting up his takedowns, backing up Volkanovski, having those strikes lead the way, and then changing levels a little bit more. He did some of that, but I think he could do more of that for sure if they ever did a rematch, which I would be all for. I could watch those guys fight over and over again.
Henry Cejudo posted sparring footage of him and Demetrious Johnson. Be sure to go watch the full video on Henry's YouTube channel. Links in the description. Jon Jones says that him and Daniel Cormier would make great friends. On Unlocking the Cage with Jimmy Smith, Jon said, "I do believe that Daniel will do a great job. All the guys do a really good job at being unbiased. The UFC hires these guys because they're professionals and, yeah, I think he's going to do a great job if he gets the job. Daniel has commentated for me before. I believe he was in the corner when I fought Ovin St. Preux and he did a great job. He's not biased. People try to make Daniel and I out to be absolute arch enemies. If you look at competitive athletes throughout history, they all come around. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, they all come around. It's just competition. Outside of the sport, I have no ill will towards Daniel. I think he's a very stand-up individual. I think we'd actually make great friends if we were ever to sit down in front of each other and really just chat it out." Jon posted an edit to his social media today for UFC 285, and him and Khamzat Chimaev had a friendly back and forth. Jon posted this. Khamzat reposted it to his Instagram story. He wrote, @JohnnyBones, the #1 medal. Jon reposted Khamzat's repost, and Jon wrote, "Appreciate the support, Khamzat." And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post future ones. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. These comments are in reference to the footage of the guy who held up a sign saying "Your wife is in my DMs" to Dustin Poirier in front of his family. The first one says he had the audacity to proudly do that in front of Dustin's wife and daughter, and was surprised he was slapped. I don't know, I feel like people take Dustin's kindness for weakness. The second one says that's a grown man with that sign. What a dork. He should feel embarrassed. And the final one's in reference to the footage of Francis Ngannou getting into a little argument with that dude on the street. It says the guy arguing with Francis is playing with his life. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured on the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. If you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen to get caught up. And make sure to go subscribe to our second channel where we post our exclusive MMA interviews.